Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Oklahoma Archery Podcast. I think this is episode 72, and we're going to have a couple winners from the Camp Minden, Louisiana Pro-Am this past weekend on. We got Easton Gregg up first. How you doing, Easton?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Did you get home without driving through all the storms?
Oh, yeah, we made it home safe, so always a good thing.
Did you leave out Saturday? Did you stay for Sunday?
Stayed Sunday. Yep, stayed for the podium, all that good stuff, and then just about as soon as it was over, I headed home.
Yep. So that is that's becoming a common recurrence for you, isn't it? This is the second one you've won this year.
Yeah, I like it that way. I ended up actually getting third at Fort Benning, but I'll take the podium. So
there you go. You go.
Absolutely.
And then we don't have to talk about Foley. We know how Foley went.
It's all right. It's all right, man.
It was cold. It was far away. It was muddy, but it was also pretty muddy down there at Minden. So
it was.
If nobody out there had been to a Pro-Am or a Pro-Am at Camp Minden, tell them what it's kind of like. What can they expect from the range?
Humidity and mud. That's about all it's good for. It's usually a really good course. They do a good job at that one. It's close for us, so I think that kind of adds a little bit of, just favoritism for us. But it's always pretty hot, pretty muggy, and there's a couple snakes out there too.
Yeah, we did have us a little cottonmouth under a tree, and Easton and I got to shoot together the first day. And for everybody at home, Easton does not like snakes at all. And we finally get him to go peek his head because it was across a little bridge, and then it's probably 4 or 5 feet away. And there's this little snake about like this big curled up, and he didn't move all day. They told us, you can't kill them. It's a military base. I don't know if it's a game warden issue or a legal issue down there, but Easton finally pokes his head around the tree to look at the snake, and I'm behind him, and I just grabbed it.
Man, I think a good snake's a dead snake, man. I'm not real big on snakes.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the venomous ones, especially, there's old wives' tale about cottonmouths being aggressive and chasing you. This one, we're not even sure if this one was alive. He didn't move all day. No. So, I mean, he'd been there every single group, walked right past him. I didn't see him move, but I got some pictures of it, and it was 100% a cottonmouth. You can see a little band on their eyes. A water snake for everybody out there. This is not archery advice. This is just being outside advice. A water snake will have vertical lines on their mouth, and they look kind of derpy. They got these big round eyes, and a copperhead or a cottonmouth rather. The copperhead's got Hershey's Kisses on it. You recognize those. And if the Hershey's Kisses are pixelated, that's probably a cottonmouth. It's got a big dark band over its eyes and a real triangular shaped head. So you want to be able to stay away from them. I know they've had them on the ranges down there at Paris where we're getting ready to go in 3 weeks to the Paris AMAM. That's halfway through May. I think the weekend of like the 14th or something coming up. So I know that one's pretty much home base for you, being down in the southeast corner of the state. So, but before we get to the Paris AMAM, want to take just a second and kind of go over the Oklahoma AMAM. It's going to be this coming Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. It's a little bit different, and we've talked about it. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My phone this week has literally been exploding with people asking questions, so I just want to take a second, explain what it is we got going. So 2 ranges in the northeast corner of the state. It's going to be a quad state qualifier between Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas. We're going to have a state team shoot off Sunday afternoon, and you can come shoot 2 rounds, but one at each range, Friday at 1, Saturday at 9 and 1, and Sunday at 9 a.m. And if the weather holds off Sunday, we're going to have us a state team shoot. So it's not the same as the Paris AMAM because we don't have buckles we're awarding, but our good buddies at Shot 3D, I think you know them pretty well. We're going to be putting $1,000 in for a drawing. So if you win your class over both ranges, so you ought to shoot, 400, 410, 420, 400. If you shoot up and shoot good on both rounds, what we're going to do is we're going to put all the winners of the class in a hat and draw somebody for $1,000. So the cost on it is just $60. It's $30 for the first qualifier, pays out regular like a qualifier, shooter of the year points in Oklahoma like normal. Second one costs $30. So $30 and $30, $60 total, 2 rounds, 2 shooter of the year scores. And man, it's going to be a good time. The ranges are about 20 minutes apart. The addresses are posted on the Facebook page. It's Odd Vein Outrange. It's also the ASA club is called Shot 3D for anybody that's confused. And the other one is Big Creek 3D in Nowata. So one's in Nowata and one's in Chelsea. That's as simple as I can make it. If you have any questions, please give me a shout. Check the Facebook page. I know you're going to hit it. We got our other guest here with us. Let me bring him on. What's up, Hunter? Can you hear us, man?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's going good, man. Been a lot better if I was standing on top of a podium at Minden, but Easton pretty much ruined that for me. So everybody that doesn't know, this is Hunter Hume. He is a barebow shooter from the great state of Oklahoma. Make Oklahoma barebow great again for everybody out there. And Hunter went to his first Pro-Am ever this weekend at Minden, Louisiana. And just like Easton, he ended up winning the whole thing. So wanted to have y'all on. Congrats to both of you. Easton's been to a whole bunch of Pro-Ams. Hunter's been to exactly one of them. So Hunter's batting 1,000 on going to Pro-Ams and winning them. I think it took me about 7 of them before I even cracked into the top half of one. So big shout out to you guys.
Well, thanks, man. First off, anything I get on the podium, I want to give it right back to God. So, I appreciate you guys wanting to bring me on and talk, and but I want to give that glory back to him. So.
Absolutely, dude. It was a fantastic trip. We got to ride down there together, and the whole time he's like, I'm gonna shoot up. I'm gonna shoot me 2 good scores and win this thing. And I can tell you that he had that plan from the minute we got in the truck until we left, and it didn't change. You put 2 good days together. Usually at a Pro-Am, you have a good day and a bad day, or at Easton, you had a good day and a better day. Hunter, I think your first round that you shot at the very first qualifier this year was like a 59 at Trosper. And then you go out to the biggest tournament you've ever been to, and you shot, was a 180 and a 181?
Yeah. I didn't really know much about barebow at the beginning of the year. I was always a traditional instinctive shooter and a compound shooter. So, when it came to string walking and things like that, it was a whole new ball game, and I was cussing it pretty hard in the beginning. Like he said, I scored a 59. I think I missed 11 targets at the first shoot of the year. It was pretty bad. I didn't have any arrows that were spined correctly. I didn't know anything about string walking, and I was just going to go out there and try to shoot that bow like, a traditional recurve. And it's a whole nother ball game. So,
hey, well, we always try to educate the listeners at all to how to succeed at a big Pro-Am. So what would y'all say are the biggest takeaways on how to keep your head in the game, how to succeed at a Pro-Am?
I think just taking it one shot at a time, trying not to get too overwhelmed with how many targets you have left and how far away from home you are, anything like that. You just got to stay in at one target at a time. And if it's good, if it's bad, just leave it behind you and look forward to that next target and making it the best you can.
Pretty reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely. If you go thinking about the buckle or thinking about the whole thing, you're not thinking about the shot you're on. So like he said, you got to take it one shot at a time and just concentrate on what you're doing, and don't think about the last shot. You can miss the target, but if you keep thinking about that miss, you're going to miss the whole shoot.
Absolutely. I think another big thing is not getting too rattled with who you're shooting with. When you have a good group that's shooting really good and you're there trying to win, I think it can be really hard to not get psyched out by the other person shooting better than you, or, they've hit the last 3 and I've got to step it up. Something like that. I think it's important to know yourself and not worry about, all the extra things. So it's just about you, take it one shot at a time and don't worry about anything else.
I know I got to shoot with Easton the first day. Hunter, did you know any of your competitors in your group before, or did you exchange contact info with them afterwards? You gonna stay in touch, rub their nose in it a little bit?
No, the group of guys that I shot with were really great. The guy that ended up placing second, he's the shooter of the year right now for the ASA in Barebow. So I got his contact info and tried to, learn a little bit from him. He's beating Ava Jones right now by 1 point for shooter of the year. If you know who Ava Jones is, she got second at Lancaster this past year. So, they kind of group us all in the same group with everybody. It was a tough group, man, and it was really good people. There's guys that go to that stuff all the time. So with it being my first ASA Pro-Am tour, they kind of walked me through the steps of, where to be and, things like that. So everybody in the association is really cool about, just if it's your first time, letting you know where you need to be and taking care of you. So.
We got him there. We got him there. You shot early on the first day. I shot way early on the second day. That 7:30 round on Saturday, it was brutal. I think I pretty much ran Hunter out of the hotel. We gotta go. Grab breakfast at the Continental. Hit the truck, hit the road, sped down the way till we saw the flashing lights. Squealed tires into the military base. Flashed an ID. It's a full-on weekend of action, and the biggest thing I want to tell people out there is you're shooting with guys that are good. I mean, these are world-class shooters, and in K45, if you bang out a nickel, your weekend might be over unless you have a really good comeback. But the biggest thing to take away from it is that you learn so much from other people that you don't shoot. Like in Oklahoma, we might have 4 or 5 or 10 guys in K45. Well, if you put 60 or 80 of us or 100 even at some of the bigger ones all together, you're going to pick up some stuff from different people. Like I saw a young man that was shooting, I forgot his name. I know he's from Ohio. He was shooting an 8-power lens, and he had double stacked his clarifiers in there. He was running, he said, a 3 and a 1.5. I had no idea that you could double stack clarifiers or what it would do to your pin, but he said he could see rings out to 50 yards if he had any kind of sunlight on them. And I'm like, is that even a thing? Like, I mean, I'm sure he shot better than I did. I'm not sure. I just couldn't see. I just couldn't. Every time, I think 3 times that weekend between the team shooting my rounds, I shot either the core line or the 8 line or something, thinking, shooting at that lower. And I said, right there is where it needs to be. And walked up there, and they're like, "Ooh, you're not gonna like that, man. That's gonna be low right for an 8." I was like, "No, man, it's right on the line." And they're like, "Yeah, it's right on the line. It's the wrong line." So that was, just something that you learn. Might need to change the peep. Might need to go invest some money in one of those fancy lenses. I don't know, but it's the perfect place to try stuff because most every single vendor is there on site, and they're all, dude, you can't go to a Pro-Am without buying some new piece of equipment.
That's right.
I don't know what it is. Hunter, did you go hit the vendor village at all, or do you?
I did, but I have a complaint to the ASA. They need to have more Barebow vendors there. The only person that I could talk to for a contingency check was Victory Arrows. So really, there was no one else that I could go talk to about any equipment or anything like that. So I have complaints. Just putting that out there.
Well, we're working on the Barebow division in ASA is, I think, 3 years old, maybe 4 years old. So we're still trying to. It's the fastest growing class in archery, and I know they turned the trad division into the Barebow division to try to accommodate that and get more people in. But it was also on top of the same weekend as Gator Cup, so you're you're going to lose some numbers to Gator Cup and those U.S. archery shooting barebow people. So hopefully they show up big. I know at Foley, I was texting with Matt Hudson trying to get him to come out of hibernation. And I think he's like, yeah, there's usually only 5 or 10 people. I was like, they had 26 at Foley, so the numbers are good. In Oklahoma, yeah. I think Trosper had 8 or 10 of them at one single qualifier. So we're pulling as many barebow people in Oklahoma as we are on a national level. I'm tickled about that. Try to shoot one every once in a while, and it's just, I don't know, man. Not my thing. Maybe not. I bet Hunter.
Maybe if we put a clarifier on there for you.
Yeah, it's kind of hard with that string blur, and my face is just kind of the wrong shape for getting the arrow up underneath my eyeball like this and just snap shooting them back. But yeah, man, it is rough when the compounders have 13 different things they can collect a contingency on, and you're like, who makes my weights?
Yeah.
Like, you got a rest, you got a weight, you got a string, you got limbs, you got a riser, you got arrows. I mean, what, Vanes and Knox? I don't even think Vanes and Knox companies.
Yeah. I mean,
no, Flex pays. I saw some Flex checks.
Well, we've got the barebow weights and things like that, but in the risers, and we've got special limbs, carbon foam limbs, but really none of that is what you're going to find in an archery shop around Oklahoma. This is more of an Olympic style recurve. So most of my stuff's online, Lancaster, things like that.
Well, I don't know what it needs on there, but I think you need some more weight on it for sure. About 40 ounces out front.
I think I added 2 pounds to the bow overall.
Pounds. Okay, we're adding ounces. Hunter's adding pounds. There you go.
Well, I can't get a stabilizer, so I gotta level the bow out somehow.
Yeah, I've seen they make those big disc weights about like this. The Hoyt system is like 20 ounces, 30 ounces, 40 ounces, and they fit together like those little Russian nesting dolls. So they're heavy, dude. I've seen a barebow guy pick his riser up and grunt one time. I was like, that can't weigh that much. He's like, about 15 pounds. I was like, good Lord, you could kill a cottonmouth with that.
Well, it's crazy whenever I pick up somebody's, brand new Matthews, their hunting bow. And I love how light it is, but, you really forget when you go back to the barebow, just how heavy they are. Whenever I go back to my compound, just how light they are. But it makes a difference, man. It just levels it out. You can play with those weights, you don't want it to bounce back and hit you in the face. You also want to level it out because we don't have a bubble, of course. So it's kind of fun to play around with them.
There you go. Well, while we're waiting on Dave to get back into the podcasting game, he's coming back off a back injury and retuning his drop away rest right now. So everybody, regards from Dave. He is alive. He is not tied up in my trunk. It's still indoor season as far as he's concerned, and it's storming pretty good out there right now. But Dave's favorite question, pardon me, is tell us your setups. So tell us everything that's on your bow, and if anybody out there has any questions, drop those in the comments, because the biggest thing we want to do is support our manufacturers. There's a whole bunch of them that spend a lot of time and money keeping us going. So take a quick second and both of you run through your rigs real quick.
Sure. I'm shooting the Darton Sequel 35. I've got the Conquest Smackdown 747s. I've got a 30-inch on the front with about 16 ounces, then a 15-inch on the back with about 30. Sight, I'm shooting the Excel Achieve XP with a Bowfinger 35 millimeter scope, 6-power lens, 15 thousandths pin, green fiber, shooting the Hamskea Target Hybrid Rest, and the Hamskea Insight Peep Kit. I'm shooting the Scott Apex Release, and then for arrows, I'm shooting the PS23s from Black Eagle. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm missing.
There's probably one of them we forgot about.
Bowstrings, maybe. Shooting Summit bowstrings from Bryce. So he makes a really good set of strings. I can't complain. So setup is really solid right now, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Appreciate Mr. Tally down out of San Antonio, right?
Yep, down there in Texas.
Big deer country. He sent me some pictures of some deer he's got in his backyard, and I've decided that we're going to invite ourselves to go hunt his neighborhood.
Oh yeah,
Come on, it's he's got some giants back there.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter, what do you got on your bow?
Well, I've got the Vigo Kinetic or Kinetic Vigo, riser. I believe it's a 25-inch riser. I've got a fall away rest. It's the sniper rest. I've got a sniper plunger. I have the Jake Kaminsky barebow weights. They're also a dampener. Our bow has to fit through a ring, so it can basically you can extend them out as far as you want as long as they fit through that ring. You can finagle that ring any way you want to get it around anything on the bow. I have win carbon foam limbs. The reason I went with those is wooden limbs are affected by weather and humidity and things like that, so these are less likely or less prone to that. I think I have an ABB string, America's Best Bowstrings. So if someone else wants to connect me on a better bowstring, let me know.
Do we know if Bryce makes a recurve string down there?
I have no idea.
I'll have to ask him tomorrow. We'll get you hooked up, man.
I'm sure he can figure it out. He can do it.
Of course, one of my contingency checks was Victory arrows. So that's what I shoot. Victory VFT. This is a 500 spine because I shoot 42-pound limbs and I'm a true 28-inch, so it's 42 on the fingers. And then I shoot a bicaster tab and a bicaster arm guard. So I think
there
that's
you go.
it.
And that's got your has that got your crawl marks on there where you fit it on your string to get closer and farther?
You're not supposed to draw anything on there. So you can have up to 2 different markings. They have to be the same size and same spread, but you have to have it memorized. So if I can do this backwards on the camera, I know that that's my 30, that's my 27, that's my 25, 15. Wait, hold on. I'm doing this upside down, but you get it. Basically, you're, just like your sight on your bow, you would adjust your elevation, correct? I tell people, think of a barebow like a compound. My kisser button is my finger. Okay. My peep sight is basically my string. I'm blurring it with that arrow. The tip of my arrow is my pin. Everything's pretty much the same as a compound. You just have to keep that back tension the same every time because, of course, if you're a little bit forward or a little bit back, you're going to have a little bit more or less feet per second, which is going to affect that arch in archery, correct? So
yeah. It's y'all don't understand. Hunter was hanging out with a bunch of the compound guys all week. We were just kind of congregating around the darting booth there, trying to stay out of the sun, and we'd take him over on the practice range, and we'd either shoot the 20 to 40 practice range or the 25 to 45, and Hunter he's out there flinging them at 40 yards. They're like, you want to step up? He's like, no, I can figure it out from here. I think this will be about 32, 33. So if anyone out there is wondering, barebow is known distance, but you're getting some pretty far practice shots on the old practice 3D range there. I was shooting the close ones because that's where I struggle the most. I'm sure Easton was probably down on the 50-yard range shooting dots at 49 yards, but we took Hunter over there on the compound side, and boy, we got some looks from him. They're like, "What's this kid doing here?" I was like, "Just preparing for greatness, man."
Well, I'll tell you who's really great is those guys that shoot 50 meter and 70 meter with a barebow. I'm telling you, that's impressive. I think that's 55 yards, and what is 70 meters? I don't even know, closer to 80. But there's some guys that can really fling them out there. So.
I've never shot the I don't even know what it's called, the GPO, the known bonus. Easton, do they have a 30-yard GPO, or is it just the 40 and the 50? If he was going to go,
I'm not sure. I've never actually shot it either.
Okay,
so I'm not real sure on that.
I've shot the one at Paris before, because and they'll have that again this year. If y'all are going to the Paris Am, be sure and go see Johnny King down there at Connor State. That's Hunter's alma mater, Connor State College. Their collegiate team is going to be running the GPO, and I know they do a 40-yard and a 50-yard, but I'm sitting here wondering at the pro-ams, like, what do the kids go? I guess they just make the kids shoot the 40 range and aim high.
I'm not sure.
We'll have to get Scott on there to clarify that.
Yeah.
Had a whole bunch of questions after the weekend's festivities, man. It was fantastic. The biggest thing I can tell people is if you're going to be out in the heat and you're going to be somewhere where you're traveling and you're dehydrated, go see Kelly at the Mobile IV Hydration Trailer. It is the best money you can spend at a Pro-Am if you're trying to not get, because it's only getting hotter in the summer, right? First thing I do when we pull up there Thursday before the team shoot is go hook up to an IV, go get juiced up, put some B12 in there, NAD, fluids, whatever you need. She'll cook you up the exact right cocktail for you. She always has to ask you what your medications are to make sure you don't mix anything with anything you're not supposed to have, or can't double up on this or whatever. So go see Kelly over at the Mobile IV Hydration, because it makes a huge difference. Shout out to another couple of Oklahomans. I know she did. Casey Ewells was third in the women's Pins 30 class. She went and got an IV Friday or Saturday after her round, and then she shot Sunday, because some of us had to do 2 on Saturday. Some of us were broken up into Saturday, Sunday. So she went and got some hydration, wound up third on the podium. And we also had another one of our Okies, Shannon Steely, took the first place win in women's Pins 30. I know she's shooting a little left-handed darting. I don't think it's an emergence. I think it's the kids model bow before that. I think she's about 15, 16 years old. So it's the one right before the emergence. But we're going to talk to Scott and see if we can get her hooked up on probably an Exodus short draw is probably what she needs. Yeah. And I know Scott's already been putting out the list of them. I talked to him earlier. He was going through all the podium and top 10 finishers, and he was calling me to see why my name wasn't up there. And I said, I sold Easton my good arrows. And then he went and beat me with them. That dirty, rotten scoundrel. Man, Easton came 4 hours across the state to get a dozen arrows off me, drove 4 hours home, built them that night, sighted them in, and left the next day to go to Camp Minden, Louisiana. I think I actually looked over on day 2, and you had a lighter and some hot melt.
That's right.
You were putting tips back in it.
Yeah. So you had 100 grain points for those, and you gave me the weights to get them up to 150. And so I'd screwed them in, and I wanted to see how they shot. So I didn't super glue or hot melt the weights together. I just screwed them in, and I wanted to see how they shot first so I could still adjust it later. Well, I forgot about it. And so my weights, they were just hand tightened together. And day 2, there was an arrow, and he had the Easton, the kick out bushings. And I shot and hit that bushing, pulled my arrow out of the target and tapped it, and I heard them weights rattling. Same thing happened like on the next target. And before I knew it, I only had 4 arrows with weights that weren't loose. So went back to my stool, grabbed the lighter, pulled them out, super glued my weights together, glued my points back in between scoring and shooting. So it was a little hectic there for, 3 or 4 targets, but I got it figured out and got my weights back in.
He looked
over. Sounds like he's trying to sabotage you before the shoot.
Yeah, he probably has 150 grain points, but he didn't want to give them to me.
No, I only had the hundreds, but I got 10, 20, and 30-point screw-ins. So we can make them any grains you want. If I was going to sabotage you, I'd have had paid $50 to go make you shoot through the chronograph. That's what I'd have done.
Oh, come on.
He's got that sequel 35 smoking at about 285 probably.
Yeah, at like 59 pounds. It's insane. That bow's quick.
Well, you got, what are you, 29.5, 30-inch draw length?
About 30 right now. I've messed around with it. I may be just a little bit over 30, but about 30 and a quarter or so is where I set them up at.
Yeah, I got down about 3 feet per second with the Barebow right now. So,
what's yours shooting at, Hunter?
The chronograph was there, and I really thought about shooting through it, but I was like, I know I'd mess that thing up or something. I'd never shot through one before.
Yeah.
So I was
They
like,
need to.
without adult supervision, I better not do it.
Oh, I had Zane over here shooting through mine yesterday, and I think he's smoking them downrange at 236 at about 25-inch draw, 46, 47 pounds. So yeah, you can. We had to lower it down so he could get it like dead on through there. And I was like, "Don't you shoot my chronographs now? Don't you do it?"
How did
like,
Zane end up at Minden? Did he do pretty well?
He shot even. I think he was 14 up and 14 down. So that's the old thing at the Pro-Am. You got a good day and a bad day, and you just got to keep it together for 40 targets. Man, shout out to everybody that shoots them both in one day. That has got to be the most miserable thing you could do in archery is doubling up. But we're hoping a whole bunch of you come try it this Saturday because our AMAM does let you shoot both 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. both rounds on Saturday. If you don't want to get a hotel, you want to drive up real early and get home late. That'd be the biggest difference between the Oklahoma AMAM and the Paris AMAM, where you do have to get a hotel. You got to come down, check out the Hall of Fame induction dinner, watch me booger up a couple of speeches for a couple of real fine Oklahoma archers. Hoping everybody comes out and has some barbecue for that one. I know Brad and Tara were going to try to get on a podcast with us real soon to get those numbers up down in Paris. So if y'all haven't done it yet, go check the Oklahoma or the Texas ASA Facebook pages. Get registered for the Southwest Shootout. You can pre-register. You can shoot it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It doesn't matter. They've got practice range. They've got GPO range. They've got team shoot on Thursday. And they've got the state versus state shootout Saturday afternoon. So I know Easton's won that one as well last year, right?
Yep, I did.
You did?
I ended up winning that one as well.
I'm noticing a trend here, bud.
That was a fun shoot last year. I don't think we ended up shooting together, but I do remember talking to you after. And through that round, it was day 2, and through 10 targets, I was 2 up. And I mean, in known 45, you've got to be at least, 16 to 20 up at least to be in the money. And it was just a slow day. I was 2 up, and I was like, I've got to put my feet to the fire here. And I ended up hitting 10 12s in a row, those last 10 targets, and it put me up in the money. And so that was a crazy series of events. I just was thought I was out of it that round, couldn't hit them, and then just hit the last 10 and ended up putting me right in the money. So just I have a lot of luck like that. Start out slow, and then I figure it out somehow. So archery's a weird game, but I'll take lucky days like that every time.
So you're talking about course management, shooting a couple of them safe, getting your bearings, and then going on an absolute tear.
I don't plan it that way, but it seems to happen that way. So I try to do some course management, but days like those, sometimes you just make a good shot and they don't hit, and then sometimes you hit all of them. So it's weird, but I'll take it. It's better to be lucky than good a lot of times.
We were about 15 targets in, and our buddy from Texas, Joey Martinez, turned around. He's like, "How you doing, Neil?" I said, "I've hit more of them than I've missed." And he said, "Really? You had a pretty good day then." I said, "No, I meant targets. I've hit more targets than I've missed." So,
yeah.
Hunter, you landed all 40 in the foam, didn't you?
Yep.
Well,
yeah.
That's
I think out of the 40, I had 5 pickles total.
5 total? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
we're at 30-yard max, and I would say most of them were pretty close to 30.
Okay. And now you're aiming point on with that and just walking up and down, right? So no matter how far you are distance wise, you've got that bow figured out where you can still aim.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, if you think about it, just like the elevation on your sight, I find my crawl. If I want to have a further distance, I crawl up the string. If it's closer, I crawl down the string. That makes my bow go this way. So crawling up, elevation goes up. crawling down, elevation goes down, correct? So I know once I knock up, so basically, I mean, if you got a second, I'll show you.
We got all the time in the world, man. It's raining outside. It's the middle of the week. There's no archery tournaments today. Even if there was, I'm staying home because I'm tired of Easton beating me.
For example, if I wanted to crawl down to my 15-yard mark, I would slide all the way up to my knock. I would grab my 15-yard mark. Now, I've even gotten it down to where in between these marks, I can count serving threads in between too. So I know 15 yards is this many marks down, little marks, big marks, and then 3 servings up or down, whatever. I just have it memorized.
Wow.
So I hope I don't ever lose this tune or I'm going to have to rememorize everything, so it's just kind of one of those things. And we're not allowed to look at anything or write on the tabs. We have to have everything from memory.
Okay.
A lot of people do it at competitions, but I just follow the World Archery rules because that's what we're supposed to do. And so that way I can never be questioned. But long story short, slide it up against the knock. I'd go to my 15-yard mark, and then I slide down to where the tab is at the top of that, wherever my thumbnail is. And then so whenever I anchor back, remember I told you my index finger is that's my kisser button. So no matter where I crawl on the string, my kisser button or my anchor is at the exact same spot every time. My string is my peep sight every time. The tip of my arrow is my pin every time. So it's just like shooting a compound, but there's no let off, and I have to know where to keep that back tension. It's amazing going back to my compound, how much better of a compound shooter I am now, to be honest. It's funny, but.
Wow.
Yeah, there's an art to it. I think I'm just about sold on it for sure. I'm ready to come over and make the jump.
Come to the side, man.
I gotta find somewhere where I can at least hang with them, because shooting down one day and up the next in 45 is just little bit of an unmanageable day too. So
well, you can miss a whole target and still come back and get a 180 somehow. I mean, I don't know. It's and then you can somehow hit every target and score a 180. Barebow's kind of funny like that. With compound, you get a nickel and you're out, right? So.
Oh, I've seen them out there. They every time John Dimmer walks out with different colored socks, shorts, shirt, and hat on, I'm just like, I don't know what we've stumbled into, but I know that I fundamentally do not understand what is happening around me. So seeing it on the 3D range is cool. It's see them over there on the practice bags, and everybody's got their, gizmos and sight lights and clarifiers, and they're all changing this and that. And the Barebow people are like, well, I'm going to shoot the exact same setup that I have here as I did everywhere else. And the biggest challenge at the Pro-Am, you have all the vendors there, and you want to go buy a new set of bars or a new lens or a new sight or a new release or something that Lancaster trailer is calling your name all the time. For me, it's that AccuWeight Archers solution.
Yeah.
I've got one of those headed in to play with. So if anybody wants to educate me on how to strap that thing to my bow, I'd be willing to listen to them tell me how to fit that thing together. But you see all these people that I've told all the kids, they all want to go buy a new. I'm like, leave it in your bag until you get home and dial it in afterwards. Like, don't be that person that's out there tearing their bow apart in between day 1 and day 2, unless your name's Tim Gillingham. Okay. I guess he can get away with it and a lot of other stuff.
Well, most of the time it's not the equipment, it's the archer. So like, I scored that 59 at the beginning of the year. Right. Mm-hmm. And I told myself, I'm not going to buy another riser, another set of limbs, anything new until the end of the season, and just get good at this barebow stuff. And I haven't changed anything, going from a 59 to a 180. So I think, like you said, kids, they want to get something new that weekend and try it out. And it's like, just get tons of time using what you have and just learn the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Gotta say, man, it's a mentality thing. It's a confidence thing. And a lot of people are chasing that pacifier of, yeah, this will make a difference. And mentally, they're thinking that was the missing link. But I just feel like that's something that you're going to come up short with on the range, because the magic always wears off. The honeymoon phase does not last forever. So really, you're putting yourself at a strategic disadvantage trying to go get something new and figure it out. Like if it's a new release, or getting a hinge with or without a click, or getting that new button. It's like, man.
Well, and if you work a job 9 to 5, practice time is limited anyways. You don't want to spend it working on equipment.
What's practice time?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you get to practice? Like shoot your bow for fun?
Yeah. You guys get paid?
No, I don't get to shoot my bow. I get to answer questions about the ASA and what class does Little Jimmy shoot and how fast can Little Jimmy's bow shoot and everything. That's what I get to do. And Easton's shooting quarters at 60 yards, getting ready for the known pro class in 2 years.
Yeah, I get to practice a lot. So I've pretty much got nothing but time to shoot whenever I want.
That's
really?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
it does show. It looks like it's paying off for you, bud.
I have school for 2 hours a day, and then I get to shoot. So I'll take what I can get.
So live it up if you can, man. That's awesome.
So you're a senior in high school?
Yep, I'm a senior. I'll graduate in about a month. So the clock's ticking.
Out there beating grown men on their only 2 days off in the week. You rotten scoundrel.
What is it, Billy Madison, where he's grabbing that kid by the cheeks and he's telling him to never grow up, stay as long as you can.
Stay as long as you can.
Yeah, that's what I wish I could do to you right now. Just stay as long as you can, man.
Oh, I'll try. I'll hang on as long as I can. So plan anyway.
Easton, have you won out of 45 automatically now, or do you have to get in the money another time or two?
I'm not sure. I didn't check the dollar amount. I know this one in our class was a little bit lower turnout than it usually is. So I think I'll have to grab another check somewhere along the way to really be put out for the dollar amount. But I had 2 top 5 finishes. So that'll, put me there too. But I think the dollar amount thing, I may have to cash a check one more time.
200% of the entry fee. So what is it, $60 or $65 to shoot it? That'd be about $1,300.
Yeah, I'll have to get a check one more. But shooter of the year is always kind of another, if you can get up in the money there, that jumps you up pretty high. But so I think I'll have to get a check, one more, another good podium. Hopefully it'll put me there. But I'm really tempted. That K50 is I'm excited for K50. That's a class I'm really looking forward to. It's gonna be hard not to switch, but I'll stick it out in 45 for the rest of the year in the pro-ams.
There you go. So you shoot 50 local, and Hunter, you can win as many pro-ams as you want, and you can still shoot the barebow class next year, bud. That's got to make you feel good. They're not going to put if you keep doing it, maybe they'll come up with barebow 35, but it's probably not very likely. So you are in an entirely different situation in your division where you can just keep dominating.
Well, I'll try, but there's some really good archers, man. Like you said, a lot of them. There was a few at Gator Cup. There was a lot of good archers there this weekend, but we'll see what happens, man. I'm really blessed to have won this first one out the gate. So, I'm not naive to think I'm going to go and win all of them, because Easton will tell you it's, I'm sure, tougher as it goes on to, stay on top.
Mm-hmm. So. Absolutely.
He was asking about shooter of the year, and I am completely ignorant of shooter of the year at a pro-am level. I think you can drop 1 score out of 6.
Yes.
And Hunter showed up at the 3rd one, and he's like, dang, I'm gonna have to go to London and Metropolis in the Classic now. And I was like, well, I don't think you can. I don't think there's any way you can win out, but you could still probably take high score over however many tournaments, right?
Yeah. I always kind of wonder, because I do know, I think it's the youth and the young adult class, you can drop 2. So they take your top 4. That's how it was a couple years ago. I'm not sure if that's a similar rule in Barebow, but I do know in the youth and the young adult classes, I believe you can drop 2 scores. So instead of just 1. I do remember that because when I was shooting that, I think I missed a couple of them, and it just, you're still in the hunt for shooter of the year, getting to drop 2, but I'm not sure how it is in Barebow.
Okay.
Interesting.
I'll look it up. If not, my main goal is just concentrate on all the Oklahoma stuff this year, and then probably next year hit all the pro-ams. And this year I'm also going to go to the Classic, but we'll see what happens. So.
Gotta go to the Classic, man. It's something sacred about it, something holy. It's not just because it's at a monastery, but it is. I mean, they're all the same. The payouts are the same. The contingencies are the same. But something about the Classic is just, it's kind of special. It's like Vegas. It's like Lancaster. It's the Super Bowl of archery is the way I kind of describe it. But
yeah,
man, I don't know. I'm looking forward to the rest of them. I'm going to try to hit Metropolis, definitely hit Coleman, 50-50 on London. That's a long ways to shoot 7 up for the weekend. Are you going to it, Easton?
Yeah. I plan to be there. I plan to be at the rest of them, but just in case something happens. But I plan to be at the rest of them. So
there you go.
Oh yeah,
can't miss them. Well, tell everybody where you're going to go. I know you graduate in just a couple of weeks. Where are you headed in the fall?
I'm headed to Lindenwood University. So I'm super excited to be there. It's in St. Charles, Missouri, about 20 miles outside of St. Louis. So just right outside the big city. I'm super excited and really blessed to have the opportunity to go and shoot there alongside some really, really good shooters. One from Oklahoma who had a great showing this past weekend, and just pleased to be
that
pleased
kid.
To be that team.
Oh, I can't believe that. Iron sharpens iron, and you are going to get to go immerse yourself in the absolute lion's den. I mean, it is killer out. It is the 1920s Yankees murderer's row. I mean, I don't know all of them by name, but I know that Lawson hangs out with all of them. Shout out to Lawson out there representing Oklahoma like an absolute champ. We were watching the shoot down on the way home, and I got to apologize to Hunter because I think I put the truck just about in the ditch watching the end of the known pro shoot off there. So, it's bad.
One of the reasons I had to win this weekend is he told me if I didn't win this first one out the gate, I had to walk home. So I had to win, over the weekend, or I'd still be walking right now.
No, I think the Gators would have got you by now.
Well, we were sure looking for them.
Yeah.
They're there.
No, not a fan. Cottonmouths, gators, mosquitoes. I don't want nothing to do with any of it. Mm-hmm. I'll be going back to Minden I think it's a 10-year contract is what they signed, and this is like the 3rd year. So, yeah, we got 6 more trips to Minden at least, but being the closest one to Oklahoma, man, 2 out of every 3 people I saw were either from Oklahoma or Texas or somebody that I knew. And it was cool because like you like meeting new people and you like to get to see the pros and, hang out with your buddies and that kind of thing. But we had a good showing, and that was on top of Gator Cup, TAC San Antonio, Shot 3DX. We had all kinds of archery at every corner of the country going this weekend. And we still pulled, I know they broke 1,000. Usually, 1,200's pretty average, for Minden. I think most pro-ams are probably around 2,000 people. So it was a good weekend for archery, the sport. I know it's a big numbers game trying to figure out where they can put these pro-ams, but I'm still bound and determined to get them to have one in Oklahoma. Hopefully the Shot 3DX guys are going to come up with a venue for it pretty soon.
Already know where we should have it, and because Camp Minden made me think of it, and that is Camp Gruber over in Braggs, Oklahoma. And that place reminded me so much of it. They need to talk to them.
Is it a swamp of misery?
Oh man, it's better.
Okay. Okay, good. So something with some high ground would be good, because right now it's been raining for about 3 days and every puddle is about up to your knee. So if that's what the criteria for finding a pro-am is, I think we could pull it off. Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's also right next door to the Greenleaf State Park. So there's tons of camping, cabins, things like that for people to stay. It's got all the parking you could think of. I mean, and it's like 70,000 acres. So I think they have a few areas for some lanes, a few archery courses.
I think they need about, I don't know if it's 500 or 1,000 acres, a couple thousand hotels within an hour, looking for at least a 5-year contract. I talked to Josh about it at the directors meeting last year, and I was like, man, if we stick around with these shot guys, they scout out every piece of large property that you can get on in the surrounding states.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to find something that's not quite up and down enough for a shot event. And if it's nice and flat and has good parking and we can put some porta potties on it, I think it's definitely prime real estate for finding, a pro-am location out here. I know they want to go up the East Coast and then out west. So once they get one, I mean, I know they were looking at like Pipestem. I know they were looking at Branson. Branson would be cool. That would be another close
that would
one.
be a cool one.
That'd be within driving distance. And Branson, you can go ride go-karts, you can go see a Jim Stafford comedy show.
Well, they try to make it family oriented too with these events, which is good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And shout out to all our kids. I know I had a list of them somewhere. Go check our Facebook page for all our top 10 finishers. But the kids from Oklahoma definitely showed out this weekend. I think we had probably a dozen of them wind up in the top 10, and some of them was being their first pro-am. So I know Jack Shaw was like 4th place. I think
he was right out of it.
Yeah, and that was with clicked his button at full draw, and as soon as he let down, the arrow went, and he looked back and told him that he's like, hey, my release is malfunction. Pointed his bow down. As soon as he let down, the arrow fired right into the ground. So that was 4th place with a 0. And that kid would have been, I mean, you give him 10 or 12 extra points on top. He's right there swinging for the bleachers. So we had a bunch of them from the Twisted Arrow team. I think it wound up on the podium. One of the Loudon kids had Emily Sheffield. So we had a lot of them that I don't know that they'd ever been to a big shoot like that, but went out there and conquered the nerves. And I tried to tell one of our buddies from Kansas, Russell, got to shoot in our group. He had a heck of a day one. And you could tell at the end of it. I mean, I think he beat both of us. I don't think he caught Micah, but I think he
shot really good on day one. He hit a lot of 12s.
Yeah, he was like 14 up, I think, at one point. I think he ended 12, or he was at 16 and ended up 14, or 14 and ended up 12. He's like, man, I just want to get this one done. I'm starting to feel the nerves. I was like, well, you're not nervous. You're excited.
Yeah.
You're nervous about shooting bad, but right now you're shooting good. So why are you worried about shooting bad? Like, you're excited to shoot your bow, and, you like the opportunity. It's not if you say it's nerves, there's some kind of like negative connotation. What do you got, an earthquake over there, son?
I got to get the charger plugged in.
You in the middle of a tornado warning?
Not yet.
Sound like a Turnpike Troubadour song, man.
There we go. We're plugged in now.
You played some good music on the trip, Neil. You had some Turnpike Troubadours.
Oh yeah, dude. Okay. Played some John Fulbright. I sent him some like really heavy like thrash metal. And I was like, you better tell me what we're playing or we're listening to this all the way down. He's like, oh Lord, no, please.
It's gonna make my ears bleed.
No, it's all good, man. I think that it was a fantastic trip. I'm glad that you got to go and stand on the podium for your first one. Man, that's something cool.
That is really awesome.
The first one I went to was also Camp Minden. I misset my sight on a turkey, shot it for 45 yards when it was at about 37, and caught the back tail feathers of it. And you might be asking, how did you miss left and right and high? It's because it was just not a good shot. It was not only off by 8 yards, but the left and right was also highly questionable. And But yeah, I went down there. Shout out to Dan Gaston, took me down there to my first one, and we're walking on the range, and I'm just in a just regular t-shirt and a hat. I think I had had like a country band on my t-shirt and a baseball hat. And he's like, "Where's your collared shirt?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Probably with my church clothes. What do I need a collared shirt for?" He goes, "Oh, you're supposed to have one to wear." It's like, they probably won't say anything, but you're supposed to have a collared shirt on.
Well,
I
that
was
was
like,
another one of those things where, like, you and the guys on the range helping me out with my first time, like, I wouldn't have known to do that. Like, he told me pack some collared shirts, and I was like, okay, check, or where to be, because man, it can get confusing. Your first one, there's a lot going on there, like you said. You got a few thousand people running around and vendors, and so appreciate you not letting me get thrown out to the wolves right off the bat.
"Oh, we threw you out there, and I told you if you didn't win, you was walking home." That's trial by fire, dude.
It might have been safer. You're driving, man.
First one Easton went to, his dad's like, "Hey man, just have fun. I love you no matter what." First one Hunter went to, I was like, "You better win. You're walking home. We're late. Get in the truck. Go." It was that kind of weekend, man. You get tunnel vision, and you want to get to spend time with people, but like you're so pressed for time. If you want to try to shoot a practice target, or God forbid, shoot an arrow. I didn't shoot the practice bags one time. I never do, because some jackwagon is always shooting diagonal by 14 targets, shooting your arrows in half. And it's like, I'm never going to go shoot those white bags. And I've said it once, I've said it a million times. They need brown and black practice targets with the upper and lower, the Delta McKenzie upper and lower rings on them.
Yep.
If we can get somebody to do it, I'll pay for at least 500 of them if that's what we have to do to get a trial run of those things. Because I think it would be much better to have them brown, light brown, dark brown, and you could put them white and put the dots on there, but put some out there with the uppers and lowers that people can actually shoot at and see, because that white glare coming off those bags washes your pin out. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can't pick it out.
No, you're shooting off the post or nothing, and it doesn't matter if it's blue, green, or 10,000ths or 19,000ths. It's nothing but post and go on the whole thing. And I'm just like, can we get something comparable? And the practice range, like, is very, very slow. You're gonna have to. I mean, it's hard to get in a rhythm. Like, we were shooting.
I've always got to shoot the practice bags, because a lot of times it's so slow. You have to wait 30 minutes in line just to get on the 3D practice range. And then you look down, it's been 2 hours and you've shot 10 targets. So it's like, 10 shots, you've got to do something else. So I always try to get warmed up on the bags, just shoot, make sure everything's pretty close, shoot there for a while, then get on the 3D targets so I can look at some targets and, really get a game plan, kind of see how things are hitting on the 3D targets. But it moves so slow. And I've had a couple people like, I'll shoot 2 arrows. If I don't like the first one, I'll put another one. And I've had a few times, they're like, you got to shoot 1 arrow per target. And so they put the rules there too.
Yeah, I've never heard from anybody about it. They don't say anything to me, because I look like I'm glazed over and lost and here for the fraud. This is my first time here, guys. I love 3D. And they just don't say anything to me, because they assume that I'm mentally challenged and basically an adult man child. So it's very welcoming and accommodating. But yeah, you will see some people out there that they'll say something to you if you're slowing them down. I think that's the biggest draw to shooting the elite known bonus GPO, whatever it's called, range, is that you have a tee time and it moves a little quicker with your group, and they're using that as a practice round. Like, it's just, you got to pay twice. You got to pay for the practice range and you got to pay for the elite known, but you're at least getting some better quality practice if you need to try to get into a rhythm, because that's the hardest thing. Like, shoot 1 arrow, sit down. Wait 10 minutes, pull your arrows, walk again, wait, shoot 1 arrow, 10 more minutes. It's like, you're never going to find a rhythm over 20 targets in 3.5 hours. Like, it's just, you got to be locked in, dialed in, hydrated, hopefully. I don't know, man. It's hard to go to the big show and put 2 good days together, but I'm proud of both of you for figuring it out. I know Easton's been there before, but Hunter being a first time pro-am goer, are you was it everything you expected? And what was the biggest shock for you? Like what did you not expect?
Well, I wouldn't say a shock, but it's funny to see all the people you see on TV, then you see them out there at the pro-am and you're like, hey, seen that guy on TV. Hey, I've seen that guy on TV.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I mean, there was nothing that was really a shock. I kind of knew what to expect. I don't really know, man.
Nothing out of the ordinary?
Not really.
What about you, Easton? Anything crazy out of left field besides copper-headed rattle moccasins on the course?
I was a little surprised that we got away with wearing low-top mug boots. It seems like a lot of times there's standing water on the range, and you've got to have something at least up to your knees. So I was surprised we didn't have to have that.
Me, I'd go with the guy pulling arrows all the way to the target, and I'd look back, and 7 yards back is the other 3 of them glassing the target like this. Like,
Yeah.
What's the matter? You don't want to get your feeties wet? So
it's hot, it's humid. I think the day would be a lot slower with soaking wet feet and water in your boots.
Yeah. Well, that was day 1. At the end of day 2, we had a kid in our group called Breakdown, and we had to go with him to shoot his makeup targets. And at the last one, we walked up on the first 3, and the fourth one, the last one, he inside outed it. I mean, upper just perfect. And we glassed it from 28 yards and wrote 12 down there and started working on the running totals for the cards and making sure the signatures were good and the running were good. And the range official walks over and he's talking to me. He's like, is he calling his own arrows? I was like, no, we're calling them and scorekeeping. They're like, why is he the only one down there? And it's like, well, we all glassed it and he shot it inside out and we all called it and there wasn't no disagreement. He goes, don't you think you ought to walk down there and score that arrow? And I was like, no, we all called it from back here. The group decided, and you point me in the rule book to where it says how close I have to be to call the arrow. I'm calling it from 28.5 yards inside out. And he didn't say anything past that. And I was like, he was like, well, somebody else around here might have something to say about it. And I was like, looking around like, anybody got a problem? The kid whooped us by 28 points. It was one of Micah's arrows. And I was like, he beat the brakes off us both days. If I could take 2 points off this kid, that's the only way I could ever beat him. And I can't take it from him because it's inside out, inside 30 yards. And everybody in the group said that's 12 all day. And I've already walked the range once and I ain't doing it again. So go find somebody else to talk to, bud. It's kind of what it turned into. But I checked around. I asked everybody I could, and that none of them could tell me if there was a rule that says how close you actually have to be to score the arrow at the target. Because I'm like, is it 6 inches? Is it a foot? Is it 2 feet? What's the standard practice here? Like, yeah, we were being lazy, and it was the end of a long day, and it was getting hot. And I heard the hot dog stand calling my name, and I had to go load up 51 targets in a sweltering hot trailer. So yeah, I had all I wanted and then some, but I didn't know if that was something that anybody else out there had ever seen or not. But yeah, we might have cut some corners, but the kid made a heck of a shot. And none of us could call it out. I mean,
yeah, I was actually standing there. I finished a little bit earlier than you guys when he was making up those last couple targets, and yeah, I watched his arrow land, so I can say that did happen. But
yeah,
and I watched the range official come up, and I was like, I don't think there is. I've never heard of a rule or anyone said anything about it before.
If you can point to it in the rule book where you have to walk up there to score it, by all means, tell me that. But it ain't written down. I've read them. Trust me. Just once though. I don't pretend to read the rules very often. I should read them more, but my go-to answer when somebody has a question on the rules is, let's go look it up together. So we both know, and we've read all the rules required to find the one that we need. And then now we're both educated. So that's always been my hands-on problem solving criteria on how to.
In the courtroom too. It says, hey, that's show me in the rule book.
No, it really isn't. I mean, I've pulled out a statute book in front of a judge before, and I'm like, here's the way I read it. Did I miss a word? Did I mix one up? I'm new at this. Like, God bless my client. He's probably still in jail, but I thought I could get cute with the judge, and they disagreed. She said, "You slick, but you ain't that slick, man. He's going to prison." So
Yeah, every time we were going through somewhere in Louisiana, he'd say something, and I'd be like, "Oh, it's fine. I got a lawyer with me." He's like, "It's not a get out of jail free card." And I'm just like, "Sure it is. Come on, man. You figure it out."
I mean, if you're good enough, but when you're talking to an officer, yes, sir, and no, sir, gets you further than any statute interpretation is ever going to. Well, according to so-and-so versus United States in the 1979 Second Appellate Court Division opinion, yeah, blah, blah, blah. No, that's just going to get them. They're just going to get mad at you. You're probably going to get to sit in the back of the car while they go call their supervisor, as opposed to in your truck listening to Turnpike Troubadours. So, well, real quick, before we get out of here, before the tornadoes come wipe us all off, take just a quick second and tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, and tell them, run them through your sponsors real quick, just to let them know about all these great organizations that are supporting archery in Oklahoma.
For sure. So my sponsors are Darton Archery, Black Eagle Archery, Conquest Archery, Boning, Summit Bowstrings. Those are my main sponsors. Shot 3DX, of course. Got to give them a quick shout out. You can follow me on Instagram at outdoors.easton, or on Facebook, just Easton Gregg. So those are my main platforms and some of the sponsors that help me do what I love.
What you got, Hunter?
All right. Well, I've got Triple C Archery, the Archery Podcast. And of course, my business is Hume Roofing Company, Premier Property Solutions. My brother does graphic art and design, so he also helps with everything when it comes to jerseys and things like that. So that's HD or Hume Design. That's what he has. The Archery Outpost in Tulsa.
There you go. Local stomping grounds.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of who else. I believe that's it. So, also, I want to give a shout out to Reed Kepler. He's a bow tech actually over at Bass Pro, but he used to work for Lancaster. And if it wasn't for him, I didn't know how to set any of this up, tune an Olympic recurve. So I have to give a shout out to him. And so I want to shout out to my daughter when she gets a little older and can watch this. So.
Well, she'll probably be on it in the next couple of years. She's 1 year old. She can start shooting at 6 years old in the Junior Eagle class. So half decade from now, I fully expect her to be out there tearing them up in the Junior Eagle Open class.
Well, I won't force her to do anything, but if she wants to do it, I'll have her at every one of them. So.
Yep. Well, let's give a big shout out to G2 Outdoors, everything that Ryan and his team are putting together. I know Easton and I both shoot for them. Hunter, if they had a barebow division or knew anything about it, I'm sure they'd be beating your door down, man. But big shout out to Ryan. He had a fantastic crew out there this weekend. I know Brooke Storts ended up on the podium again. Big shout out to all our Oklahomans. Don't think just because I didn't name you by you're specifically that we're not thinking about all of you. Had a great showing. Didn't hear anything negative from any of them. As the state director, I appreciate every one of you for keeping your cools and making friends, not enemies. That's always the biggest. Everybody keep it together for 40 targets and get out of town. That's my biggest thing. The only thing I'll say is y'all come hang out at the AMM this weekend. We got two great ranges. All got 20 Delta McKenzie targets. We're going to have a state versus state team shoot between Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, and Missouri. That's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I hope we see y'all out there. I hope the weather's good for it. Big shout out to Cooper, Heat and Air, Sly Cooper. He's been out of town for a couple weeks, but don't sleep on old Sly. He's going to come figure out how to shoot these foam targets one of these days, and we're all going to be in trouble. I know everybody thinks he's a dot shooter, but he does a whole lot to support not only the podcast, but our sport. Also, H&H Archery. I know it's raining cats and dogs outside right now, but shout out to them for, getting behind us and supporting the podcast and giving us a space to, kind of do our indoor thing. I know Dave's somewhere hammering away at the indoor bow. So appreciate everything that everybody does out there. And, just parting words of wisdom. Get your bow. It's archery season. It might be 3D season to some people. It might be 50-meter barebow to some other people. But go shoot. Go make friends. Do something good for the sport. Y'all have anything else before we get off here?
Man, I don't think so. I appreciate you having me on here. It's a great opportunity.
Man, you just keep winning them and coming back and telling us about it. But can you just not beat me so much? Like, can we get you into the pro division as soon as you're allowed to travel from state to state without adult supervision?
Man, when the day comes, I'll be happy to. But until then, unfortunately, I'll try my best.
Well, I'm going to talk to your dad about getting you enrolled in summer school. So that's about my only way I'm going to compete this year.
That's
But
cool.
Other than that, thank you all for sitting down with us. Thank you all for educating us all on what it's like to go win a Pro-Am. So anybody else out there has some questions, drop them down there in the comments and let us know who you want to see on here next week. We're always open to suggestions. Be good, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.